Good day to our research personnels, to our dearest research advisor, Professor Maria Carolina Lee Nuneza, to our panel 1, Professor Farah G. Luzano, and to our panel 2, Professor Lovely May R. Prieto. We are the group Z3119 and I am Fayan Malate.
I am Judy Ann Haurigi.
And I am Kimberly Ann Pihe.
And we are here to present to you our study entitled The Conundrum on Teaching Controversial Issues in Public Secondary Schools, a Qualitative Inquiry. Chapter 1, Introduction, in which lays down the foundation of the entire paper, is based. Controversial issues are public disputes concerning an opinion, contention, or argument. It might be questions, subjects, issues, or problems that can formulate a different point of view. Available research indicates that studying controversial issues helps students to develop empathy to others, learn to communicate effectively, learn great and respectful to different viewpoints. This is according to He, 1996, Harwood and Han, 1990. Teaching controversial issues in secondary schools in social studies plays a crucial role in a social studies discussion. Available research indicates that studying controversial issues helps students to develop empathy to others, learn to communicate effectively, learn to be and respectful to different viewpoints. This study will determine how secondary school teachers discuss or teach the controversial issues in social studies, most especially in secondary public schools. The direct recipients of this research are the teachers, especially the social studies teachers. Through this study, teachers may gather information and techniques that can help them provide better learning towards teaching controversial public issues in their classroom. This study will be helpful to secondary school students and tertiary students who are taking up Bachelor of Secondary Education major in social studies. This might help the secondary school students to increase their understanding of the importance of digging into controversial issues to be better citizens of this country. The teachers and the students are part of society. Hence, this study will benefit the community in a way that teachers can effectively discuss the controversial issues and influence their students on how to deal with these arising controversies and be better individuals and citizens. And lastly, this research will serve as a reference material for future researchers which they can use if they wish to conduct the same study.
Nature of controversial issues. It is not only related to specific school subjects but also related to the cultural background that occurs in the community. They refer to sensitive subjects that force students to make choices. Controversy can be found both now and in history because humans seem to have been struggling with the main issues of the core values. Experiences in teaching controversial issues. The teaching aspects of the contentious issues. Teaching controversial issues holds a promise in its learners for advancing them. Their teaching experiences or their passion for serving the learners can mediate the more profound understanding and enthusiasm of the students. That is according to Sadler and Peel, 2018. Difficulties in teaching controversial issues. Considering the individuality and unique perception and insights of the students, the discomfort of thinking about the potential impact of discussing a particular sensitive topic, fear the students will leave the classroom feeling hurt, feel uncomfortable and does not trust themselves to teach controversial problems. Teachers feel uncertain and not prepared for the teaching of controversial problems in secondary social studies. Developing teaching strategies. Take the time to hone the students' deliberative skills and establish an environment in which they feel safe enough to express themselves. Educators need to establish an open and respectful environment allowing students to know each other, reduce barriers between people. Teachers claim that the dispute a few years earlier influenced how they taught.
Researchers sought to understand the following questions. First, what are the life experiences of secondary school teachers in teaching controversial public issues in social studies? Second, what are the coping mechanisms of the secondary school teachers in teaching challenging and controversial public issues in social studies? And third, what are the insights of the secondary school teachers in teaching controversial public issues? The theoretical underpinning of this study is anchored in functionalist theory, Durkheim 1999, which identified the Latin rule of education as one of socializing people into society's mainstream. The other theory was rooted in the experiential learning theory, or according to Kolb, 1984, the experiential learning theory argues that effective learning is seen as the learner goes through a cycle of four basic theoretical concepts: concrete learning, reflective observation, abstract conceptualization, and active experimentation.
Methodology. This chapter of the study presents the participants' materials or instruments, design, and procedures observed in the study. The participants. The respondent of this study were the secondary school teachers in social studies from different secondary public schools in Davao del Norte. These are the criteria of respondents. 1. Licensed professional teachers. 2. Social studies major. 3. 5 to 20 years in teaching. The participants have elucidated their insights, experiences, and coping mechanisms. 7 secondary school teachers were the informants for the Focus Group Discussion or FGD, and 7 participants for the in-depth interview or IDI.
Materials and instrument. All the chosen participants received uninformed consent forms that were used containing important information about the procedures, benefits, and risks of participating. The researchers discussed their respective tasks or parts in the research study and also how the instruments were validated by experts. An interview questionnaire was read and a set of questions that required an honest answer.
And procedure. This research study is qualitative by nature and utilized a phenomenological approach. The researchers employed a phenomenological approach, for it aims to examine the experiences of the public secondary school teachers while discussing the controversial public issues in social studies. The researchers administrative a qualitative research method and gathering meaningful data and information through conducting in-depth interviews with the use of interview guide questions. The researchers also conducted an in-depth interview through the use of Google Meeting.
Results and discussion. In this chapter, the findings and analysis of the qualitative data are presented objectively in relation to the study's research questions. It includes a concise description and interpretation of the findings or outcomes of the data analysis. Table 1. Participants' information. Research question number 1. What are the life experiences of secondary school teachers in teaching controversial public issues in social studies? As presented in Table 2, there were 3 essential themes that arose with reference to the data gathered from the participants about the life experiences of secondary school teachers in teaching controversial public issues in social studies. These essential themes are teacher issues with student participation issues, and student outcomes in teaching. Teacher issues with student participation. In-depth interviews and focus group discussion conducted by researchers, most participants stated that in their life experiences in teaching controversial public issues, there is an important relationship between teacher talk and student engagement. This is according to Walsh, 2003. Student participation issues. In-depth interviews and focus group discussion were done by the researchers, and almost of all the participants expressed that they experienced student participation issues. Student outcomes in teaching. The majority of those who took part in the research, in-depth interviews, and focus group discussions, the teachers are one of the most important school-based resources in determining a student's future academic success and lifelong achievement. This is according to Boros and Gardner, 2019.
Research question